What's going on, everyone? It's Mike with This Old Hot Rod. So I spent some time Sunday, came out into the shop, and I bolted together the sedan. I got the frame painted. I sprayed it with an SEM product. It is Rust Shield. So it's an SEM Rust Shield is the name of the product. It's definitely a little bit shinier than I hoped it was going to be. I was hoping it was going to be like a satin type semi-gloss, but it's kind of a gloss. It's a direct to metal, so it's a DTM product. And again, I sprayed it. I just went to Harbor Freight, bought a cheap $20 spray gun. I had the frame, I removed it from the frame table. I actually left it on the frame table and sprayed it right in place on the frame table, so that actually worked out really good. So there's a few things that I still need to do. I've got the radiator stay rod, so the rod that goes from the radiator to the firewall. I've got to do 2 of those, so I got to build those. I'm going to mount the headlights on the headlight stand. I am planning on trying to get the car fired up or the motor fired up. I got the fuel line and everything all hooked up. I need to get a piece of hose, fuel line to run into just like a jug of fuel can. The mechanical pump should pick that up and it should be okay. Just gonna do a couple of quick wires, like ground the motor, feed, hot wire to the starter, hot wire to the distributor or the coil. Pretty simple, so hopefully the thing should fire up. We're just gonna use a push button. My buddy Pete's gonna come down one day this week, hopefully after work, and we'll get this thing fired up. Just gonna probably start advertising it by the end of the week. So today's Monday, but you guys are watching this Wednesday. And just gonna do a real quick walk around. So like I had said, I used an SEM product. I think I have the label for the can. So again, this is the product. I ordered this particular gallon online, but I know they sell SEM at a local Allied where I buy a lot of my auto body and paint stuff. So far, I think the thing looks pretty good. Like I said, just a couple things I gotta do left, and then I'm gonna fire up the motor. The car is a 31 two-door sedan, you guys know that. It's channeled 7 inches, but when I added the 1-inch box tube frame, obviously brought the body up an inch, so ultimately at the end of the day it's got a 6-inch channel, no chop. I did all the patch panels on the car, so lower cowl on both sides, the doors both sides, the quarter panel both sides. You guys remember I did the driver's side rear window, a side window. I did a patch on that. I did a patch on the rear window itself. I replaced the header, the windshield header, with brand new steel box tubing. It has a repop 32 grill shell. It's got a brand new chopped 32 style radiator. The motor, I believe, is a 1960 283. It has an Edelbrock 600, I believe, for a carburetor on it. It has a 2-speed cast iron power glide. It's got brand new motor mounts, like early Ford style motor mounts that were adapted to the 283 Chevy. I lowered the radiator down to make sure the fan blade would clear. A little radiator tube and radiator hose, so that was the reason why I loaded the radiator down, also to give it the right look. Front wheels are 1948 to 1952 F1 pickup wheels, and that is a 5-lug, 5.5-inch bolt pattern. The rim itself is a 15-inch by, I believe, 4.5. The rears are Ford F100 wheels, and it's the same bolt pattern, 5 on 5.5, except those wheels are 15 inches by 6. So that's the wheel. I went with the wider wheel for the wider tire in the back. So these front tires are brand new, NOS Coker Classics. These are brand new. They still have the nubs on them. Obviously white walls. They got the wide white. And like I said, it's a 560/15. We've got 4 Ford, like late 40s dog dish hubcaps on it. Model A front axle, unmodified. Model A front brakes, which are mechanical. Those will need to be switched out at whatever time the person does that. I will send the car down the road with backing plates and a bunch of parts that you'll need. Brake pads, the whole deal. Grease cups, everything that you'll need to run juice brakes on the car. The car, what else do we do? Split the wishbones, brand new wishbone, split wishbone kit is on the car. The steering is a Ross steering column. It was used in a 47 to 71 Jeep Willys pickup. The numbers are on it. I actually researched the numbers the other day, and that's exactly what it comes up as, a 47 to 71 Jeep Willys pickup. It turns nice. The only thing I don't have is the nut for the end of the steering column. The car will come with a windshield. It will also come with glass, the brand new glass that goes with the windshield. It'll come with everything that you're going to need for the rear brakes. So the car will come with an emergency brake handle. You'll just need to make a mount and get the cables and everything that you'll need to get that hooked up with, but it'll come with one at least. Get the seats aren't bolted in. They're like an aluminum bomber style seat. I think if you were to cut a couple inches out of the foam, out of the padding, and actually lower the seating position of the cushion itself, it will give you a lot better of a fit in the car, because with the seat pads the way they're sitting right now, you're a little high in the car because of the heavy channel. Let's see, obviously the frame, you guys saw that, it's all been boxed. I cleaned everything up, dressed all the welds, cleaned everything up. Didn't go crazy with the grinding, but I wanted to at least get them cleaned up somewhat. Got the frame painted afterwards, so that was good. Sandblasted the frame. You guys saw all new floors, 100% of the floors, all brand new sheet metal. 1-inch box tube for the framing. Transmission tunnel's done, firewall's brand new. Z kick up in the rear, hard L style. It has a Mercury boat gas tank in the back of the car, probably 10 gallons, probably 8 to 10 gallons, something like that. So that'll be good. You'll just have to drill a hole and run your lines for that. I think that's about it. I mounted the starter the other day, so motor's essentially set and ready to go, ready to fire. The car's gonna need exhaust. The car's gonna need a complete brake system, so it's gonna need a pedal. It's gonna need a master cylinder. It's gonna need the lines run, residual valves if you decide to run residual valves. I never do. And obviously the brakes on all 4 corners. The coolant system should be all said and done. Fitchburg, Mass is coming up pretty soon in a couple weeks. I'll be going to that. I'm always kind of be keeping my eye out for parts for this and obviously other cars that I'm building. So if I come across, it's not the handle you'll need, it's actually the lock or the latch mechanism. If I find one, I'll grab one for the car and I'll have the thing installed before the car goes down the road. You're gonna have to do gauges. A little bit of work on the steering. I haven't quite 100% finished that, so you need a little bit of work on the steering, like the pitman arm and drag link. The axle's got good caster. It has 8 degrees caster, so you should be good there. Tires are good. The back ones are probably questionable as far as like an inspection goes, but it'll be great to get the car rolling down the road and doing its thing. Maybe burn these tires off and throw a newer set on, you know. Car comes with a 31 Ford two-door sedan title. The person who buys this car, if they have some knowledge as far as working on cars, building cars, fabricating, you know, wiring, it's gonna need wiring, but these cars are minimal wires. I really think you could, and a drive shaft. I think the drive shaft's probably the main thing. I think with probably maybe between $1,000, $2,000 tops, you know, a couple weeks worth of work, you know, here and there, working on the weekends and stuff like that, nights in the shop, I think this car could easily be running and driving down the road. I hope you guys have appreciated the effort that I've put into this car, into the build, also into the videos on the channel. It's been a fun build. I did for a little while get a little sick of working on it because I look at my other cars and I want to work on those cars. I hold myself to a high standard. A lot of times I put a lot of myself, high expectations of myself. I wanted to make sure that the next person has a good platform to start from. Gets to just enjoy this car with not a lot of work. So that was the reason why I kept working on it. Early on I thought I could build this car in 20 videos. And I certainly could have. I could have skipped a lot of steps in the process and simplified the videos and not done a lot of the little things in between, but I really wanted to show you guys the process of what it takes, if you aren't aware, what it takes to build these cars, and maybe some of the steps I used and some of the things that I've picked up along the way, people that have taught me, or just not even realizing they've taught me, but things that I've just picked up along the way and now I use on my own build. So. And obviously I could have gone a lot further. I could have used a dropped axle. I would have had to modify the steering arms. You know, there's a lot more things I could have done. The wiring, we could have gone into wiring, could have gone into plumbing the brakes and all those things that I just mentioned to you guys. But they're all tasks that are very manageable and easily handled, I think, by someone who is, you know, not quite as experienced in doing this stuff. The perfect father and son project. That's kind of where I hope this goes. This car ends up with a father and son. I really hope. I'm gonna list the car for $11,000 or $11,500 locally and see what I get for a response. I'm not greedy. I know maybe some people think that's a greedy number. It's really hard to tell because there's not a lot of cars that are at this point in the build. You know, nothing that's had all the patch panels done. A lot of the cars come with patch panels, but they're not already done. A lot of cars don't have floors or any floor structure. This car has all of that, and it's taken me about 3.5 months to do. So I'm hoping that will in turn add value to the car. And if I'm gonna list it for 11.5 locally, I'd really like to get somewhere in the 10 to 11 range. I want to feel like I'm getting a good deal selling the car, and I want the next person to feel like they're getting a good deal buying it. I like cool cars. I like building cars that have a certain look. I didn't go too crazy with this one. The crazier you go, the more work is involved. You know, dropping the thing down on the ground, it just requires so much more effort, work, time, materials. I didn't want to go that route. I wanted to build a simple car that looks cool, that will be enjoyable to ride in and drive, instead of something that's wild and crazy that's not going to be enjoyable to drive. And that's the reason why I built what I built. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Let's take a walk around. Like I said, 32 reproduction grill shell. The insert's just sitting in there right now. And it's the Model A front axle. You can see that shine on the frame. Use the same thing on the steering box. See how that exhaust, someone was saying how the exhaust wasn't going to fit with the steering. It does. It fits right in between the steering. I mean, honestly, I probably could have moved the steering back another inch. I would have had to then cut the steering column shaft. I would have had to cut it down because it just would have been too far back in the car. But again, that's the 283. It's got the generator, the belts on it. That's all set. I got my fan blade on. I've got the shortened adapter on there. I'm not real familiar with these carburetors, so I believe that's an Edelbrock, like a 600, maybe something smaller. I'm not really sure. Maybe other people will know. But the guy said he drove the car for a long time and never had any issues with that carburetor. I don't know. But everything's still hooked up. You know, you'll need a throttle pedal. So we'll have to do that. The next person can do that. But it's all simple stuff, you know. I said the windshield frame, that'll go in. I'll put the visor back on. The visor's on the other side of the garage. That's the dash, the 38 Ford dash, passenger car dash. Just got this sitting in here with a couple screws. Those are the seats, like I had mentioned. These seats are like 4 inches tall. The foam, it's like almost 5 inches. I think if you were to cut probably a couple inches out of these seat foams, it would certainly give you, the driver especially, some clearance with their legs on the wheel, and then it would lower the driver for their vision for the windshield. Unless the person's really short, then you'll be fine. Good, said all the sheet metal's brand new, everything primed. That's the gas tank. It's cool because it's got a gas gauge right on the actual filler, so that's pretty cool. Said I gotta try to hold that down somehow to send it on its way. Now I didn't do any body work or anything, so you can still see all the welds and stuff where I welded, but if the next person wants to do some, it shouldn't really be too hard, just a quick skim coat. I never fix this, I'm just gonna leave it and let it go down the road like that. I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's nothing you need to pull the body off of to do, you know. So like I mentioned, you're going to need a latch for this. This is the Jeep wheelie steering. Turns beautiful. I cleaned everything, wire wheeled. I pulled the shaft and everything out of the tube, wire wheeled the entire shaft, greased everything. There's ball bearings in here, loose ball bearings. I greased everything, cleaned it all up, greased everything, and put it back together. Like I said, these are Cooper tires. They got fairly decent tread in them. The outside's a little bit worn a little bit different than the inside or the center. All pretty straightforward at this point now. It's just simple stuff that the car needs. I think those are all fun things, you know. It sits nice. I think the car sits really nice. V8 banjo rear axle. I redid the radius rods, got the torque rod mount all said and done, all welded. Everything's welded with Heim joints, got all brand new hardware, grade 8 hardware. Everything on the suspension's got brand new hardware. Put all the lug nuts on the wheels, so all the wheels have all their lug nuts instead of just 2 or 3. This is a radiator hose that I picked up. I painted the grill shell with barbecue paint. Although, not the grill shell, the radiator itself with barbecue paint. So hopefully by the end of the week I'll be able to roll the car outside and get some nice views of what the car looks like from outside. That's what the car looks like from a distance. I think seeing this thing at a car show or driving down the road, I think it's a pretty cool looking little hot rod. The next video is going to be the car rolled outside, and hopefully between now and then I'll have time to go through my shipping container, get all the parts together, and it's going to be the official 31 Model A Tudor sedan for sale video. And that'll be it. That's going to be a wrap on the sedan. It's kind of time to do some yard work in the yard also, so I think I'm going to probably probably be doing like 1 video a week moving forwards now for a little while. And just time to get back to reality, you know. I spent all winter working on this car, and now the sun's out and everything's growing. It's time to mow the lawn, and kind of been dragging my feet on it to get this car done. And I promised Allie I'd take some time off. So, all right, everyone, my camera died, my battery died. So thanks everyone for following along. I really appreciate all the support. I'm looking forward to getting that 30 coupe out from underneath the cover. A lot of people, I guess, have seen it, but a lot of people really haven't seen it. This is my 1930 coupe. Painted this car myself. Rebuilt the entire car. It's got a small block Chevy with 4 Strombergs on it, 497s. There's an original Vertex magneto ignition, custom frame, all types of stuff on this car. So looking forward to getting this thing out from under the cover. It's got a flat tire. Not good. Just looking forward to getting that thing outside and getting it driven. I got a few things I got to do on that car too, so that'll be in some upcoming videos too. So stay tuned, everybody. Thanks for following along. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.